Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So like I said in my last video, 40th year anniversary, it's pretty much year of the RX-78. And with that, Bandai announced a new entry grade line for their Gunpla kits, and of course it's gonna be the RX-78-2. So we're gonna go ahead and build this kit, check it out, and see if it's worth the $7 that I paid for it. Okay, I'm making a new intro because this kit right here, I don't care if you're just starting, you've built only high grades, only real grades, only master grades, plenty of perfect grades, you need to get one of these kits. Even if you have this kit already, you need to get one of these kits, and I'll tell you why later on. As you can see here, it says no stickers, no paint, and no tools. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're not gonna use any tools for this kit. I wanna give you guys an accurate depiction of what Bandai expects to be the perfect Gundam for a new Gunpla builder. So inside the box, we get an ad for the Gundam Universe series of figures. These are the cheaper $25-ish figures that Bandai has made. They're just regular action figures essentially. And if you didn't know, here are the different figures that they have out already. And we get a manual. Looks pretty straightforward so far. Here we get a colored half. Here's a section where Bandai talks about what is Gundam, as well as what is Gunpla. Here they recommend trying the high grade series next. Don't listen to them, just get a master grade. Once again, here it talks about how there's no glue required, no paint required, and no tools required. So if you watched my Hello Kitty video where I built a Gundam with Aaron, it's pretty much using the same design on the runners where the parts have very small gates on them, which makes them easy to just pop right off. And before we put it away, let's take a look at some of the box art. Surprisingly enough, we do get part separation in the crotch as well as part separation in the eyes, so there really is no stickers with this kit. Here it shows off some articulation of the abs, and we get some regular art here, a bunch of words here, and the same art here with our bluefin sticker, and that's pretty much it for the box. Starting off, we have A1 and A2 technically on the same runner, connected right here down the middle. This is gonna be our chest. Here is actually our eyepiece. We've got the front skirt armor. This looks like it's gonna be part of the back. This is also somewhere blue. Got some joints here, some joints here, hands, a joint cover, which is interesting. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Here we have the backpack. As you can see, the thrusters are already molded into the part. So one thing about this kit is they try to emphasize the fact that it has very few parts, but it's still a very functional kit. I think they mentioned something about having 74 or something parts on it. And here we have our V-fin badge. Here is the red that goes under the eyes. We have our ab section here, and this looks like the red in the crotch area that connects to our legs as well. So from here we can tell the legs are gonna be on a ball joint. Moving on, we have A3 and A4, once again connected to the same runner. Here we have a yellow shield bit. We have all the parts for our gun. One thing I noticed off the bat is this front handle isn't maneuverable as we usually see on a RX-78. Got some more joints here, some more joints here. Bottom of our feet, there are some hollow areas right there. Not surprised at all for a $7 kit. And our shield. Next, we have B1 and B2 connected to the same runner right down the middle. If we look right here, we see that the helmet is actually mostly one piece. It looks like all we need to do is attach our V-fin and then have the face underneath. Pretty cool considering most of the RX-78 kits have two parts, either joining a seam at the back or joining a seam on the side here. Of course, we have our V-fin with the safety nubs. We have our face mask, some arm armor, more arm armor, shoulder armor, waist armor, crotch armor, back of the waist armor, front of the waist armor, more shoulder armor, and the outside of our shield. And the last runner we have is B3 and B4, once again connected to the same runner right down the middle. This is gonna be all the armor for our legs. Got some thigh armor here, some calf and shin armor here, foot armor, ankle armor, kneecap armor, and 2 beam sabers. Looking at the kit, those are the only 4 runners we get, so it's interesting because we get 2 beam saber handles, but no beam sabers. So another thing about the runners is they're actually organized in a way to make it simple to build. So in the manual, it labels them in different sections where you'll have the head section in a certain spot, the body section in a certain spot, the arms are gonna be in a certain spot, etc., etc. Personally, I don't feel like it's that hard to find parts on a runner. If anything, I think it's more confusing to have B3 and B4 on the same runner, but technically separate runners. We'll see. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start building and you guys can just watch the build laps. So one thing to note about this waist part here is the front armor, it is connected. However, it does look like you can just cut them apart like you would a normal high grade kit, because this crotch armor right here still locks them in place. So yeah, if you really wanted to, you could cut it right down the middle right there and you could have them freely move. This build literally took me only 20 minutes to do. Granted, I was going really fast and I was kind of manhandling the parts. I wasn't using side cutters. And obviously it could look 100 times better if I used side cutters just to hide all the nub marks. But I mean, for a beginner who doesn't have any tools and doesn't even have a large budget to start building, I feel like this is the perfect kit. I mean, it has pretty much almost everything you would get with a normal RX-78 unit, and it's super easy and super fast to build. So let's go over articulation. Starting from the top, the V-fin is very secure, so it's actually two parts. One is connected to the visor and the other part, the badge, is connected to the camera, so of course those are gonna sink in and stay pretty sturdy. The eyes, I don't know how well you guys can see it there, but those are the two separate pieces. There is a red piece and a yellow piece, and to make up for the black that we would usually see on a sticker, they kind of try to draw out the shadow a lot more. And of course we do get a 360-degree turn. Here is what he looks like looking all the way up and all the way down. Moving on to the shoulders, we actually get that full range of articulation that we see with the Beyond Global kit. Pretty neat. The shoulder feels pretty tight when trying to turn it, but it actually is supposed to. It's just pretty secured on there, so that's a good thing. One thing to note is this kit uses no poly caps whatsoever. Everything here that you'll see is actually just a ball joint or a peg joint. With that being said, they are very secure. However, I don't know how they will fare in the long run, obviously because I just got the kit, but I digress. Moving on. And at the elbow, we get about a, let me just say 110 degree bend. We don't get the full bend that we usually see on an RX-78, but it's still not that bad. We do get a 360-degree turn at the bicep. Here we have two mounting points. These arms are actually just copies of each other, so they're gonna have the mounting points on both sides just for the shield compatibility. And we get one set of fixed configuration hands. Those can freely turn. They're actually on a ball joint, not a peg joint, so they do get a little bit of wrist motion. And on the back, we don't get any motion. We do get the removable beam sabers with no beam saber effect parts. Once again, the thrusters are molded into the same part as the backpack. We get a mounting hole for the shield there. It's good enough, but it does feel a little more loose than our typical RX-78 kit. Now moving on to the abs, this is probably the most interesting thing for the kit, mostly because it's only $7, but we get a huge range of motion. So starting with the crunch forward, we do get a good amount from there. It's hard to see, but it actually separates a little bit there, just because how the abs work is there's two separate ball joints, one on this red part and one on this red part. So it's a little more ab crunch than we get on, say, like the high grade RX-78-2 Revive. And along with that, we do also get a good amount of backwards bend. Trying to keep the legs straight here. Well, it's a decent amount. And once you straighten it all out, here we have our oblique crunch. That is a pretty good bend right there. Of course, the same thing to the other side. And like I said earlier, the front flaps are connected, but you can disconnect those if you want. All you need is some nippers or an X-Acto knife. This is how far up they go in the front, probably a little less than 90 degrees. And here we have the side skirt armor. This is on a ball joint that doesn't have an opening on the top, so it can't actually go up that high. However, it can rotate a good amount. And the back armor is pretty stationary. No surprise there, same thing as the Beyond Global kit. But because of the waist armor, let's go ahead and take a look at the thigh articulation. Of course, we're limited to about 90 degrees from that front skirt, but man, are we limited in the back because of that back skirt. There's pretty much no room to kick backwards. I don't usually put my RX-78s in a pose where it would need that anyways, but still, that's a pretty harsh limitation to the articulation. With this kit, we do get a double jointed knee. It does not go as far as we would usually see on an RX-78. We typically would be able to have the leg probably kick the butt of it, but this is about as far as it goes. And at the ankle, we do get a good amount of toe point down. And with a ball joint in the foot, we get a little bit of toe point up. At that same joint, the ankle armor is actually not connected to the ankle. It's connected to the front of the foot joint. We don't get much articulation there. You can't really see it on camera, but it's there. And like I mentioned earlier, here's the bottom of the feet. We do get some hollow areas there. I'll go ahead and point out all the hollow areas on this kit. So on this butt flap, we have this slot right here. I thought that might be for the gun, but it doesn't look like it would be. I don't see where it would fit properly. I feel like they could have added a peg to this to just add it in there, but no big deal. On the back of the neck, you can't really see it that well, but there is a hollow area on the back of the neck. I mean, if you're really nitpicky, if you look up under the pectorals where the abs meet it, there is some space there that you can see through. Not much though. Here in the kneecaps, we do get some gaps. On the sides of the knee joints, we get some gap. But surprisingly, this kit doesn't look that bad at all, even with all the nub marks I left on it. I'm sorry. Taking a look at the beam rifle, this is pretty standard. Like I said earlier, the handle does not move. It is only 3 parts, the 2 sides of the gun and the camera. The camera does have a hollow end on the back. It does pivot back and forth our usual motion. Actually, it looks like it goes a little further than we usually see on a beam rifle. Pretty cool. And here we have our shield. Pretty standard, nothing special here. We get the peg joint to plug into the back or into the arm. And we have this handle right here. This is almost the exact same mechanism, at least, that we see on the Beyond Global kit, where instead of a rotating handle, we have a handle that slides into a square slot. So that lets us put it in at 90-degree increments. We can put it in this way, or we can put it in this way. Let's go ahead and attach it to the arm just to demonstrate. And we slide the handle into the hole on both the shield and the arm, and there we go. We have a very secure shield. Speaking of secure, the entire kit is very sturdy, so there's no loose parts, not even the beam sabers, and the plastic still feels pretty good quality as well. You would think they would cheap out at $7, but everything still feels their typical great Bandai quality. All right, let's see them in action. So overall, very impressed with this kit. $7. That's a meal at your favorite fast food joint. And with it, you're getting something that is pretty much somewhere between, I would say, the RX-78-2 Revive and the RX-78-2 Beyond Global. It kind of retains that retro basic feel of the Revive kit while still implementing the mechanics of the Beyond Global, which means that Bandai is evolving, and eventually all of their lower end kits are going to end up being really good. I mean, we've seen it already with the Beyond Global, with Char's Zaku 2 Revive. I'll have a review on that soon. Bandai just really knows how to take a kit that they've been making and keep making it better. But anyways, guys, I honestly think you should pick up this kit regardless of what level of builder you are. One, because it's just a fun kit to build. Like I said, it only takes 20 minutes. 20 minutes and you get a new RX-78 to add to your shelf. And 2, more importantly, this is a $7 investment on getting someone else started with the hobby. So I actually don't have just this one kit, about 4 of them total, just so I could give some away to some friends who wanted to start building or are curious about what building Gunpla is about. In essence, it's the same as just like buying them lunch, but you could be introducing them into a really fun and creative hobby of yours. So like I said, even if you have one for yourself, buy one for someone else. That way we can all keep helping the community grow. And with growth in the community, we see better builders and more creative builds. So anyways, guys, as usual, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day and start building.